Hello everyone and welcome to Greyhammer. Today we're going to be doing our episode 8 of D&D for Dingbats. So let's get going. On to leveling. So I'm doing things in order of the player's handbook a little bit. So a few of these terms are going to be a little bit difficult to understand at first glance. So I'll do my best to explain them in brief, but next week's video is going to include more details on a lot of this stuff. So stand by for that, where this will all make more sense, but I'm doing it in order of the book. This will also be a two-part video because there's just too much for me to cover in one episode. So let's get on to leveling. Your character gains new abilities as they level up, which can occur through several different leveling systems, which are determined by your DM. These three methods are either XP-based, session-based, or story-based. XP-based, you gain XP when you complete quests, slay monsters, or perform other activities that are determined by the DM. So the DM can grant XP whenever they wish to. Session-based is characters go up in level based off a number of sessions they've gone to, determined by the DM. So, like, you could say, hey, you'll get level 2 at the first session, and you'll get level 3 at session 4. And they just kind of arbitrarily determine how many sessions it takes to level up. I don't like this way as much as XP-based. XP-based is my favorite. Story-based is second favorite. Session-based is my least favorite. Story-based is where the characters level up based off completing important parts of the story. The DM determines these as well. So one of the things determined by your DM. We'll do some videos later on how to be a DM and how to prepare, because that's really daunting. But one of these abilities you gain at certain levels is called feats. Powerful ability not directly associated with your class, though they are ways to get feats from your class. The variant human race can start out with a feat, and at different levels, different classes have the option to take a feat or increase their ability score. Usually it's at like level 4. Your DM may also come up with other ways to give you feats through magical items, or if your character performs extraordinary acts that line up with the feat. All those could be ways that feats could be granted to your character, but let's go over some. So alert is a really easy one. You gain a +5 bonus to initiative rolls. You can't be surprised while you're conscious. And other creatures don't gain advantage on attack rolls from being hidden from you. So most of these are pretty basic. Initiative is what order you attack in combat. And so that means you attack in combat earlier than most other people. Athlete, you increase your strength or your dex by 1 to a maximum of 20. Getting up from prone only costs 5 feet of movement. You can climb things at full speed, and you can make running jumps after moving 5 feet instead of 10 feet. Now, not all this is going to make sense to you because you don't know what the regular rules for these are, but it kind of gives you an idea that feats of athleticism are easier for you to do. Actor is you increase your charisma score by 1 to a max of 20. You also have advantage on deception and performance checks while you're trying to be disguised, and you can mimic the voice of the creature you've heard for 1 minute. It's a contested insight and deception check. So you make a deception check, the enemy makes an insight check. If they roll higher than you do, then you fail. But you would have advantage on that. Charger is when you use an action to dash, which we'll explain more in next episode. You can use a bonus action to make a melee weapon attack or to shove. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line before making your attack, you gain a +5 to the damage roll, or if you're doing the shove, you can push 10 feet instead of the 5 feet. So good at charging into combat and dealing good damage. Crossbow expert is you ignore the loading property of crossbows if you're proficient with it, so you can get multiple shots with your crossbow. Your ranged attacks aren't at disadvantage in melee range, so that's for all ranged attacks, not just crossbows. So this is worth taking with even bow or other builds that use ranged attacks. And you can use your bonus action to attack with a loaded hand crossbow when you attack with a one-handed weapon. So you can attack with like your short sword and then shoot someone with the hand crossbow, which is pretty cool. Defensive Duelist requires 13 dexterity, and while wielding a finesse weapon, so like rapier, short sword, scimitar, you can use your reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your AC when a creature hits you. So your reaction is basically you react to someone, causing it to possibly miss. So at first level, if you were to get this feat, you'd get +2 to your AC as a reaction, which can be pretty useful. Dual wielder, you gain a +1 to AC while you're holding a weapon in each hand because you basically can block. You can use 2 weapon fighting even if the weapons aren't light, so you could use like 2 quarterstaffs, 2 warhammers, 2 battle axes, things like that. And you can draw or put up 2 weapons at once instead of just 1. Pretty cool. Dungeon Delver, advantage on perception and investigation to find secret doors. Advantage on saving throws to avoid or resist traps. Resistance to trap damage, and you can search for traps at a normal pace. So normally you'd have to move slowly to see them. Durable, +1 constitution to a max of 20, and when you roll a hit dice to regain hit points, the minimum amount you regain is equal to twice your constitution modifier, a minimum of 2. So just whenever you heal from short rests, basically, which we'll go over that later as well, you can heal extra. Elemental Adept, you must be able to cast 1 spell to take this feat, and you choose a damage type, acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Your spells ignore resistance, which resistance just means half damage, so your spells ignore that, so they would take full damage to that damage type, and damage rolls of 1 count as a 2, which can be very useful. Makes your spellcasting damage more reliable. Grappler requires 13 strength, gives you advantage on attack rolls against creatures you're grappling. You can make a grapple check to pin a creature, making it and you restrained, and creatures that are 1 size larger than you don't automatically succeed against your grapple. So grappling is something we'll discuss next episode as well. It's generally not great. This feat makes it a little bit better. Great Weapon Master. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon or reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you make a melee weapon attack as a bonus action. And before you make an attack with a heavy weapon you're proficient in, you can take a -5 to the attack roll and add +10 to the damage roll if it hits. So really good against lightly armored enemies. If you're pretty sure you're going to hit them, you can just say, hey, let's just make sure we do the most amount of damage. Healer is when you use a healer's kit to stabilize a creature. They also regain a hit point, which is actually really useful. As an action, you can also spend a healer's kit charge to restore 1d6 plus 4 hit points, plus the max number of hit dice of their hit dice. So like if it was a wizard, it would be 6 plus 4 plus the 1d6. It's pretty good. That's a decent amount of hit dice. But they can't regain hit points this way until they finish a short or long rest, which we'll discuss probably next episode. If not, we might have to do like I've got the next 2 episodes planned out after this, but we might have to do another episode that's like a conglomeration of a lot of that stuff. These 3 are all pretty similar. Heavily armored, moderately armored, and lightly armored. Heavily armored requires you to be proficient in medium armor. Gives you +1 strength to a max of 20, and you gain proficiency in heavy armor. Moderately armored, proficient in light armor is the requirement, giving you also +1 strength to a max of 20. You gain proficiency in medium armor and shields. Lightly armored gives you +1 strength or dexterity to a max of 20, and you gain proficiency in light armor. So just things to make you able to use more varieties of armor. Heavy armor master gives you You require proficiency in heavy armor. It gives you +1 strength to a max of 20. And while wearing heavy armor, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons is reduced by 3. So you take less damage. It's pretty good. Inspiring Leader requires 13 charisma. You can spend 10 minutes before a battle to choose 6 friendly creatures within 30 feet. They gain temporary hit points equal to your level plus your charisma modifier, given that they can hear, see you, and understand you. They can only gain this benefit once per rest. We'll also talk about temporary hit points either next episode or the episode after that. I'm not sure exactly. Keen Mind gives you +1 intelligence to a max of 20. You always know which way is north. You always know the number of hours until sunrise or sunset. You can accurately recall anything you've heard or seen within the past month. So this is really useful for your character that's supposed to be studying. You can keep track of time underground, and you can navigate labyrinths and things like that if you know which way is north. Can be a really useful feat, honestly. And I think, yeah, that's all of the feats that I have covered here. It's going to be like a 10-minute video, which is nice. Honestly, I think that will be good. Let me know what feats you'd want to take for your character. Let me know if you like having my face up here, or if that doesn't make sense for these kinds of videos. I am kind of covering some of the screen, which I'm not a big fan of, but I'm trying out the camera now. But yeah, just let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.